What was the
Well, at
question?
some point it becomes.
No, I said when the original shows when they come back, like it had like the Jerry and Kai and Scott and them guys, and then the 405, and then JJ had his deal, and then it seemed like whenever MPK come on, everything else just left.
Well, we have a unique perspective on this because as producers of a television show that's been on the air for 10 plus years, which is an anomaly, truly. We do over 200 hours of programming. We make up 45% of all Discovery original programming. 10 years ago when we started, we had 8 episodes a year, right? So as things progress, and what's this? 13 years. Well, I don't remember. I was a young lad. You were.
He didn't have great memory.
Now I'm old. We started this when we were in like 20s and 30s. So your question is, why aren't those on there? Oh, OKC's still on there. It comes back in January. We had NOLA, and then we had Memphis, and as we progress, we just continually reformat various versions, right? You have America's List, you have Mega Cash Days, Farm Truck and Asian came back with their own show. There's a new show with them again, Locals Only. I think the appetite for television shows changes as you go forward, right? Like every year, you can't remain stale. We don't. We have No Prep Kings now, but that's really an opportunity for the fans to come out and see their drivers, shake their hands, do all that. We were a bunch of dummies back in, whenever that was when we did Bristol. We're like, I don't know if anyone's going to show up, but let's put on a race to see if anyone will. And everybody did. Like, so much so we had to close the gates with 12 miles worth of traffic. And we looked at each other going, people actually like us? I don't know, or they hate us. Either one, they're coming to see us. And that's why we started No Prep Kings. And that's kind of the staple. And we're going to keep reformatting No Prep Kings. We added the grade 8. We had Team Attack last year. And we're constantly evolving. So your questions are, will these come back? Potentially. We only have so much bandwidth. There's only, we take up all of Monday nights on 4 hours a night. It's 200 hours of programming a year. So we just have to pick and choose. We do America's List once every 2 years. Mega Cash Days once every 2 years now. I hope that explains it. It's just, we're trying to keep the sanctity of what we did. What these guys stood for. These guys aren't, big sponsor-backed, all that. I mean, some guys have sponsors to help them out. Obviously, it costs a lot of money to run this.
Progression.
Yeah, it progresses, but at the same time, it's our duty as producers and, purveyors of the brand to keep it in line. People go like, why don't you let all these NHRA guys in here? It's not that they're NHRA, it's that, the genesis of this is the majority of these guys, if not all of them, eventually commit to the street, right? That's what we do. If you're gonna run No Prep Kings, you're gonna have to go on the street at some point. That's what we say. And, we also want to show commitment to the brand, right? We're not in the business of building somebody up for them to go take it away and go, oh, thank you very much, now I'm moving on to whatever. It's just not what we do, That's bad business, right? So.
I think MPK was good. Oh, I get a microphone now?
Yeah, Doc. You love
Don't take it literally.
Yeah, okay. Trouble now.
Yeah.
Everyone, relax.
Jim's ready on the pause button.
Take a deep breath, Doc.
So when we did Bristol, I've been doing no prep racing since it first started in the South. I was at the very first one, and we did Bristol. The fan turnout was absolutely phenomenal. We sold Bristol out. We oversold 11, 12 miles of line of fans waiting to get in that could not get in because the fire marshal shut it down. It opened those guys' eyes to our fans and how important we are to our fans and our fans are to us. So that started an avenue that started No Prep Kings. And No Prep Kings is a TV show. There's a lot of money getting paid out for it, but make no mistake, No Prep Kings is our version or our way of giving back to the fans. We give y'all a way to interact with us. That is what No Prep Kings is about. When you go to No Prep Kings, nobody has to pay for a pit pass like you do other organizations. Everybody that comes in the gate, whether it's general admission or the highest VIP ticket that you can buy, has unlimited access to the pits, the cars, and the drivers as long as you want. Some drivers will stay out there till the last guy leaves the gate. Some don't. That's individualized, but all of them will take time to see you guys if you want to. That's Street Outlaws, producers and owners' way of giving back to the fans. So we get more fans by that. I've got fans that hated me, and then they meet me at No Prep Kings, and now I've got fans for life. They get to see the real person behind the TV, because all of us sometimes aren't really how they're portrayed on TV, and you don't know that until you meet us.
Robin Roberts.
Right?
I was going to use your name.
I wasn't going to say.
I'm sorry.
Hang on. Thank you for taking that torch away from me. You're the most hated guy.
I guess it's a good mantle to carry. I mean,
I called him the other day, didn't I? And I said, hey, are you going to change that car to the Joker? 'Cause you're definitely the villain down there.
yeah, I'm
so
gonna
you
put
need
them
to-
Joker smiles on it.
Yeah,
They hate
you
you.
definitely need to capture that.
It's the most adrenaline, passion, emotion-filled
Yep.
thing that I've ever done in my life.
Yep.
And the cameras are on all the time, and they catch you at your best, and they also catch you at your worst. And I guarantee you, if they catch you at your worst, it's going on TV.
Oh, yeah.
It's guaranteed. Drama sells.
Robin
And
Roberts.
I think also you learn from
Drama
that.
sells.
People come up to me all the time and they're like, oh, I love the show, but I'm really not into the drama. What happened between you and that guy?
Exactly.
Well, wait a minute.
Exactly.
Are you into the drama or not? Because you and the
Everybody
shitty-
says they hate drama, but what do you do? What do most people do when they go to the work? After Tuesday morning at work, when everybody's around the coffee pot, they talk about the Street Outlaws show. What happened? They talk about the drama. Did you see what Robin said to whoever? Did you see what
John
Doc
Odom.
said? You know,
Scott, did you have any drama this year? I don't even remember you in it.
I think I stayed pretty clear of the drama. I had a little bit with Robin, but just a little. It wasn't much.
I mean, I thought it was pretty mild, but yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Sean back there, he had some drama.
Was
with
I
Robin.
wrong? I want to answer.
Sean's not biting on that.
I think also what he talked about, and this is also I think true of all racing, right? Every form of racing began somewhere in NASCAR, whatever it was, and then it progressed to where it took money, teams, etc. Like it just always goes this way. There's no form of racing ever on the planet that didn't happen, and rules or whatever became where there weren't any to begin with, and they kept shifting, and so it's just a natural thing. I hate to say it.
it's something about, somebody asked a question about why some of the TV shows aren't on anymore, because it is progression. It's all ratings driven. If the ratings start getting below a certain percent, you can't keep it on
Move
TV. So you have to interject new stuff, new rules, the grade 8, the whatever we're
You
going
gotta
to
have new drivers too, right? You just made a comment, do you want to see the same?
No, they want to see the same drivers. They don't care about the new ones.
Well,
I like the way you think.
sorry, I have to be the guy to say that, right? But yeah, you gotta look at their.
Who
point
let
and
you
their
up here,
point.
new guy?
Sam, it's Sam, where's Sam?
But yeah, they like to see new people, but the new people have got to get it. They got to understand that they have to find a place to fit.
But I'm new, right?
Yeah.
But I've always been respectful of you, and your
100%,
staff, and
yes.
405, and I get that. I feel like I do, and you were grateful, and even for you for a while, you didn't talk to me for a little bit.
No, you're the new guy. I mean,
You're the new guy, right?
You have to go through
Yeah.
some hazing.
Yeah.
Well, wait till he's
Am
made
I the
it a
only one to
season
talk to
before I
you?
talk to
You
him.
and Jeff Lutz are literally the only two people that talk to me, and Jim because he kind of had to. But
It didn't take very long.
But it didn't take me
It
very
didn't take
long,
very long.
right? Yeah. As soon as I beat you like 3 or 4 times, I
I
think you
got a
finally
pretty
talked to me.
good. I got a pretty good internal
Jeez.
filter. I can see through a lot of BS, and I can kind of see a man for who he really is just by a few short talks. So, and that's just.
Well, even on TV, and I talked to Sam about this. Like I'm a big emotional person, right? And that comes out on TV, and so
Sometimes it comes out the wrong way, though.
can be.
Yeah, it does. So
Yeah. But it's a TV show about racing, so it's a
Right.
TV show first. So yeah.
There's some people that could have been the biggest a-holes in real life, but come across TV as a saint.
Roberts.
Or there could be some people that are the greatest, nicest.
I think his is opposite. I think Robin's is opposite. He has
I
been
love
caught,
it.
he's
Yeah.
been caught in those perfect
Yeah.
moments that has made him
Yeah.
look bad at times.
Yeah.
But
I know Robin
Out-
personally, and he's one of the most greatest individuals.
yeah,
you've ever met.
outside of actually racing, I really like Robin.
Robin,
You just don't like me beating you, is what you really don't like.
Outside of racing?
You can't like the person you race against.
nobody likes to lose. I don't care who it is. I mean, we're only friends, and we're not friends from the burnout to the turnout. I hate you.
Yeah.
After the turnout, we're okay again. So
I think that's a big misunderstanding of things like even the 405. Like here's one thing that's maybe not portrayed well on TV. How much we appreciate you guys that have started this thing. That for me, like I street raced my whole life, and no one knew about it. And it was dumb. It was in the middle of the country, and then all of a sudden, you guys made it famous,
Right.
And made it cool, and made it to where. Like
somebody,
I
I've
love
been-
it. We
I've been
appreciate you
asked-
guys so much.
And I can say from original 405 guy, we all appreciate that. We don't get enough of that. And some of the new people that come in, not you, but some of the new people that
John
have come
Odom.
in. No, not
No,
John.
but how many times have we had a conversation
No, I
of
said-
how grateful?
Yeah,
I mean,
I
me and
said-
Hudson would
Absolutely.
go eat, We would come home, we would watch Street Outlaws on TV, and now to be a part of that is unreal.
Our gratitude for you who started it.
If
We still wanna beat you.
What you just said, you know, if guys like me could bottle that up and pay bills with it, I'd be backing the next president. You know, because there are people that just are so appreciative of that. Then there are people that naturally have villains. You know, they hate you just because of you beat their, you know, you're their favorite driver's rival or whatever. You know, I had a bad opinion for a long time, and for the longest time, every time I tried to make it better on TV, it made me worse. So I just finally said, you know what, screw it. I can't do anything about it. So the only thing I could do about it is change everybody's opinion of me one person at a time when they meet me. And it's worked out. I mean, the last 5 or 6 years have been pretty awesome by changing a lot of fans from people that hate me to now I got diehard fans. Somebody over there told me, it may have started with a Sam and in a court, you know, whatever, but he said the greatest fan that a person will ever have is a hater that you flip. And he's 100% right. If you have somebody that absolutely hates you, Robin, remember this?
I'm aware. I am well aware.
If you can flip that guy to being your fan for life, he'll never.
My
he'll
social
never-
media guy.
Introduce you guys to
We'll take whatever you guys want to.
It's on.
Who's the fastest?
Ryan Martin.
Hey, I beat,
Question- any other questions?
Hey, I beat
Any
Ryan
other
Martin in the
questions?
last race, so calm down.
Terrible
This
question.
guy likes to toot his own horn, doesn't he?
Well, I'll tell you, who the fastest is, it changes at the beginning of every race. And at the end of the race, we find out who the fastest was that particular weekend. And it pretty much changes every race, so.
Well, this weekend was Jim Howe, so he's standing right there.
Jim Howe, a late charge at the end of the season. I mean, he had a great charge at the end. I mean, sometimes it's just like, not every year. I was reading something the other day about the worst Super Bowl winning teams of all the Super Bowls, and they ranked them from the beginning to the end. And there's a lot of them that were really, really bad teams, but they came together at the right time, and they ended up winning the damn Super Bowl. And No Prep Kings is, I mean, Jim Howe's a prime example. He started slow, he missed a couple of races, and he finished the season super, super strong. And for that, I'm
Good job, Jim.
extremely jealous, and my hat's off to you for that.
Anybody out there got any questions? Everybody scared to raise their hand in here?
Now this guy had like 15.
We were good till you got up here,
does?
Mickey.
We were good till you walked in.
Everybody was asking questions, so you got up here.
What about you, Doc? What's your favorite win, your best win, most memorable moment of the season?
God, I have to go way back.
This season. This season.
This season? Final eight, making the final eight the first time.
What racer did you beat that you really like that stands out?
There's ones that I really, really want to beat that I haven't yet.
It's okay. It'll happen.
Those two races that I made the final eight were just special because I made the final eight. I mean, our team's been struggling. I wrecked the Street Beast. The stunt double did not do anything last year. I bought the Nova with the big screw blowing Hemi on it. I thought we had maybe a key to turn the corner. Come to find out that the car had a whole bunch of issues that I had to work through throughout the season to fix. We finally got most of them fixed. At the end of the year, we started doing better. You know, we made the second round almost every race in the final eight. We made the final eight twice of the last 8 races. So we turned it around, you know, not a Jim Howe turnaround, but we did turn it around. And it just goes to show that if you don't have the right car, you could have 55,000 horsepower, but if you don't have the right car, you're not getting it to the ground, you're not winning. Somebody coming out with a 35-year-old car like I have that wasn't built to do what I'm asking it to do, those guys are gonna struggle. We are already behind the 8 ball before we even get it off the trailer. So I don't have a particular win that just stands out because right now, if it's a W, it's my
Any
best.
win is good.
Exactly.
I'm saying any win is good.
What was your win? What was your win this year that stood out to you?
I mean, as we all say, Ryan's probably the fastest, so I was lucky enough to beat Ryan a couple times this season, so that's going to be my favorite wins.
For me, I think I have surprise winners that I didn't even pick, that I didn't see coming. You know, Jim Howe's not one of them. They have a badass program with the badass cars capable of winning. Knew that they would eventually get it together. Kayla really stands out for me. Kayla, which just kind of came out from left field and just kind of, in my opinion,
And she ended up winning 2 events.
Yeah. The first one was just, she shocked everybody. The
Yeah.
second one was
Yeah.
she just kind of put her stamp on it, like, I'm here to stay. I'm showing y'all that
Super
this wasn't-
impressive.
wasn't a-
Absolutely. No, she done a killer job.
So Kayla was probably the biggest surprise for me. Not that to downplay her in any way, just nobody's seen it coming,
Yeah.
you know? The only people that did was her and her crew.
Yeah, I made it to the finals with her, and I mean, we're talking to Jim, we talked about her setup, and we're like,
Yeah, a lot of people
I think we'll
say-
keep it at this,
a lot
because we
of-
could beat that car, and she drove around, I mean, she beat
Isn't
me
that
by
one
half
of your
car.
red lights though?
No, I started red light later on. Yeah, between that and the trans brake button episode,
You and your
Thanks, Jim.
button just didn't get along.
Well,
You and your button didn't get
if
along.
it's a I think you and I had one of the most exciting races I've ever had.
Yeah, that's-
One
yeah.
Right there, the last second in Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah, that was an awesome race. Yeah, that's probably the closest race. You know, excluding Ryan. The only reason I put him there is because he is probably the hardest person to beat in the world. But as far as one of the best races and tightest races, mine and Robin's race was absolutely insane. I looked over at the mile an hour mark. I looked to my left, and he wasn't even there at all. It wasn't like he was a half a car back. He was a full car back at the mile an hour mark. And before I got to the finish line, he was a nose out. It was insane.
yeah.
Bet he had 10 mile an hour on me.
That in itself was impressive.
Yeah.
I'm surprised with Jerry Bird sitting on the stage in the episode that just aired that nobody's asked that question.
Yeah, talk about that, Jerry. What happened there?
Don't hit me.
For those of y'all who don't know what I'm talking about, it's the win that Jerry Bird and Pilgrim Studios stole from Brandon James.
Yeah, if you let the internet there.
There you go.
Well, according to the internet, I mean, no, nobody's asked that question yet.
That was a good race, though.
It was a good
It
race.
could have went either way.
I know what you said. I didn't know I won it until
Until I looked up.
the light came
You
on.
know,
So
that was my favorite one though, because I've been there 7
You've been
times
trying
this
for a
year.
year.
And, to get there, but to try to win it, man, that's the feeling,
Scott, how hard is it to win one? You've been trying since season one. It's
Unfortunately, I have not won a main event on Saturday. I've won on Friday night, but I've not pulled off a win on
It
Saturday. I've been to
is-
the finals. I've been to the semifinals.
one of the hardest things. It's probably one of the hardest things you've ever done.
Absolutely. No, Jerry has won one. Robin has
Won a
won
couple.
two. Disco's been to the finals. You've been to the
I was in
finals.
the finals 5. How hard it is, I mean, it kind of puts it in perspective, right? I went to the finals 5 times this year, and I only won one.
So you're the
at that
Buffalo
level,
Bills?
it's so.
You're the Buffalo
Give you
Bills
some
of.
solace. I was.
No, that's me.
Oh, that's you.
Yeah, that's me.
So I think I've been in 4 finals
Yeah,
as
so I ain't
well,
the Buffalo
Robin. I have
Bills.
not won one yet. I've been in 4 finals, and I thought I had a good shot when you beat me that day by an inch.
But that's
And
how
then-
hard it is.
Yeah,
It's-
and then
it's-
somebody like Jim comes up and he kind of wins almost the first one he was at, so you just never know. You
don't.
just never know. You never know.
So what do you think happened on Jerry's deal? Why does it look like Brandon won?
Camera angles, I mean, I've been in this thing for 13 years and camera angles play a huge role in perceptions. Camera angles and perception can trick you into betting your entire year's paycheck on something that is
There's a laser
wrong.
beam.
So,
Yeah, but-
so one
but
thing
just-
one thing the internet missed on that deal was they don't really know how the timing
Timing
system
system
works.
works, right.
And it appears that Brandon James was ahead, but the beam is 6 inches high, and apparently his front extender and his front bumper went over the beam, and Jerry's extender
Right.
actually tripped it. We run in Bowling Green, and I thought I won. I looked at all my GoPros, I thought I won, and then what I come to find out is my extender was going over the beam as well,
Yep.
and hers wasn't. So you could be, a foot further out on somebody. If their extender trips before your tire does, you're done.
And some of that stuff is a little bit tough because the way you put power down as you're going down the track. I mean, you may have had just a half a horsepower too much that made that front end come up higher than normal at the wrong spot at that particular track. There is so many variables that go into somebody winning one of these races, from getting off the trailer to the final win. There's so millions and millions and millions of different scenarios and variables goes into winning one. So anybody that wins one is my hat's off to. My hat's off to. One of these days I might be.
Jim always told me there's a million ways to lose a race, there's only one way to win it. And I'm
Yeah.
telling you, to put it all together for 5 times in a row is pretty tough, sir.
Scott, did anybody call you out in season 5?
I don't think so. Since you wasn't there all season, I didn't get the first call out.
Not since you retired there.
I'm helping Randy at a race. Look, I'm helping Randy, helping tune his car, and I get the driver's meeting. He calls me out, and I'm like, "Are you joking?" He's like, "No, I'm serious." I'm like, "All right."
I think I could have won if I didn't give you that computer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That was always my deal with him. I'm like, look, I won't mess with a computer if we go to race.
Did you change the tune?
No, I even Bobby. That's my deal with Bobby. I say, look, on the street or the track, I say, look, I plan ahead. Before we race, you leave the last tune-up in there that you run, so you know that I'm not fixing to turn your car down. That's the only fair way to do it.
Well, yeah, that's especially with me and Jim, right? That was the biggest thing that weekend that we raced each other. That you're like, well, what are you guys going to do? Well, when we started our team together, we said, no matter what, we're still going to race it like we're racing each other, right? He came to me and said, this is the tune I'm putting in. This is the tune I'm putting in my car. Do you want to change it, right? And so that way we keep it fair, because we're not going to lay down for each other. So that's what we're going to do. Same with you.
If you go with one round before, you know nobody is messing with nobody.
Yep.
Well, I'll tell you what, this last season, I've never seen so much competitiveness.
Super tight.
It's unbelievable, you guys, what you're running.
Tight races.
So you got a new car in a booth?
I've got one coming out. Grandma lets me buy some tires. I'm on racing.
He's down to tires.
You'll be the first one I call out. Oh. If Robbins don't kick me off the team.
You hope so, huh, Scott?
I don't know. Have you seen that new car he's got?
Anyway, come see it at 2 o'clock at the Wolf Landing booth. But thanks for racing me guys the last 5 years. It's been fun.
Yeah.
Scott, on one of the things too, like, the car doesn't automatically guarantee you wins. No. And there's so much that goes into it. One crew guy can cost you a race, you know. The tuner obviously can cause you a race. The driver can cause you a race. A bad lane can cost you. There's so many things that goes into winning just a race, let alone the entire event.
It goes down to the crew guys too, though. I mean, they don't do what they supposed to forget something.
Like a belt?
Huh?
Like a belt?
Yeah, I can't,
You can't get through the burnout without that.
The bad thing is the all light wasn't working, and we knew that, but we put an all gauge on it. And
So
it had
the-
all pressure, so I knew it had all pressure in my mind, even though the light was on, but we forgot to put the belt on, so I did it.
I'm glad you said we.
Well, not we
Not we. That's where we differ there, Jerry. So I win and lose as a team, whether it's my fault or one of my teammates' faults that make a mistake. We do it as a team. So, and I think that's the way most of us are. I mean, y'all are brothers, so y'all are a little bit different. You know, you blame everything on him.
Well, I gotta get some back from him.
He blames everything on you. So
They fight more than anybody ever seen.
yeah.
But then
I've
4 or 5
never-
hours later, they're back.
I've never heard of so many. How many fights y'all had over bags of Doritos? 2?
No, we got in a fight here
Yeah.
year before
They got a
last
fight
year. We
2
went to
years
the
ago
trailer,
right here.
duked it out and come out, loaded up the car and went on.
I remember you told him, you said, say it one more time.
The funniest was a bag of Doritos, though. I mean, somebody got their ass beat because of a bag of Doritos.
Must have been a good bag.
Well, it was the last bag.
Don't mess with Jerry. He's gone down a rabbit hole here, folks.
When Jerry's car was going left, Daryl told me, he said, why don't you tell Jerry just to turn the steering wheel right? And I said, Daryl, you go tell him that.
Okay, look, he's like, you see that thing in front of you? Turn it. I'm like, I am. Well,
I told Daryl to get in. I said, you tried.
after a whole year in my defense, and the next year, we put new shocks on, the shock was like that. You know, that was my whole problem, so, yeah.
I don't know why anybody thought the car would hit a wall like that and not come
Who
out.
holds a
with it.
wheelie contest off the launch?
Well, let me say this though, in my defense.
I was Jim cars
I
around.
will scrape the wall all the way to the finish line. It ain't nothing but paint.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm gonna destroy the car.
You use the entire lane.
I use it to my advantage,
Right.
like that NASCAR
Like that NASCAR guy
guy.
did.
You know, he took my thing, that NASCAR guy did. No, that was me the first one.
He owes you that, huh?
Yeah.
Well, unlike NHRA, we can hit the wall and still win.
You know, I'm looking at a deal where if I try to yank the car over, the car's gonna dart across the other side. So I just let it scrape, throw the chutes, and, you know.
That was the first time I was glad I ever broke when I was running. I forget what track we was at, but I lost a spark plug. A spark plug
West
broke.
Palm Beach.
And so I just let off. You know, when you're down a hole, it don't run at all. So you got all that extra fuel going in there, it's not running. So I lifted and I looked up and here comes Jerry right in my lane. Wow, hits the wall. I was thankful when it broke.
Tell him what you told me. You wrecked last? I said, man, that wasn't a wreck.
That was you just count that as a wreck. It bumped the wall.
We could probably have a completely different whole brand new TV show with just the two Bird Boys right there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
100%.
And throw a guest appearance with Bobby Ducati in there every once in a while.
You never know what you're going to get with Bobby.
Look, everybody from Louisiana understands. The rest of the world, no.
How's everybody feel about this grade 8?
Love the grade 8. Absolutely love it.
Well, you love it if you're in it. I mean, let's get some open opinions here about this grade 8.
90% of the season, I loved it.
Yeah.
Those last 2 races where I was out, it wasn't so good.
Yeah. It's one thing when you start off in it and then get out of it, and then you see the amount of points that you can accumulate and you can move forward.
Later in the year, it just gets harder for somebody to actually even get in the grade 8.
Yeah.
Because the spread it gets insurmountable.
Yeah.
It just gets, if you're not making the grade 8 in the last 8 or 9 races consecutively, you have no chance for the points championship. None.
Well, it
Were
changed
the points
whole
doubled?
season.
Were the points doubled in the grade 8 too?
I believe so.
Yes, they were.
I believe so.
Yeah, when I was in the last 3 races, 1.5, and then, so I was in it, yeah.
So the grade 8 changed the whole season. I mean, Kai physically won more rounds than Ryan in the main event.
Right.
So we would have had a new champion, possibly.
The grade 8 kind of went the wrong way with one driver and went the other way with the other.
And that's the thing about it. It can go good way and it can go bad way. You know, the grade 8 is awesome. I like it. But
I think the grade 8, in my opinion, I think the grade 8 needs to be modified just a little bit. I think the top 8 drivers from the previous race should go to the grade 8 of that race. That's what I think.
How about this?
That gives everybody a chance to.
I had an idea. Actually, some random guy Martino came up to me and says, I got an idea for you guys on the grade 8. Like, what's that? He goes, put 10 chips in the bag, but 2 of them are black. And the 2 black chips don't get to run.
That's racist.
Every week. You know what I mean? Like, you just get in there.
Come on.
I already know that. I know the answer.
But then no matter what, you got the top 10 in there, right? And they all grab out of the bag, but somebody always has a chance to not race every single time.
That's not a bad idea.
I was like, man, I'll tell the guys that need to hear it.
But just listen, I mean, I made the final 8 twice towards the end of the season, the double points. I mean, my points could have skyrocketed if that's what it was. I'd have made 2 final 8s. Both of them the second one would have been double points. So it would have given me an opportunity to actually stack a bunch of points on at the end of the season. So if you do the final 8 of the race before, that gets to race the grade 8, that one, it gives a lot more people an opportunity to succeed and possibly dethrone somebody.
Doc, nobody cares about you finish 28th.
I don't care either. I don't care either.
Instead of 30th.
Would you rather finish 30th?
I'd rather finish 21st.
So it does make a difference.
We got him out of the funk. We got him out of the funk.
We had to get a good example for him.
How many times did you have to race your way in?
All the season.
All season?
Well, two races out of the season.
But you made it every time though.
No.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I did better this year than last year. So last year, the Firebird, we had to race your way in every time, and we never won a race on TV. You know, I went to a couple of finals in the Outlaw Big Tire, but it's not on, it's not filmed. So the world doesn't know the wins that we had with the car. All they see is nothing. So that part does suck. But I've been doing this for a long time, so I know what I'm up against. So
The thing I think a lot of us overlook, especially now, looking back at the season, but if you go back to the first race, in your first round of the first race, you don't understand how much that sets the tone
It's probably-
for the entire year. Because
Besides
if you
whatever-
lose that first round, first race, you're going in the loser's bracket, you got to race your way in, you're driving 2,000 miles to the next race, knowing that you're not even in the show.
that's probably the toughest race of the season, other than the guy who's racing for the championship right then that time. Your first race out of the year next year is probably going to be the most important, toughest race that you'll have all season.
That first round is very crucial.
The pressure's on right there. That's probably the most pressure for the whole season.
Because you know if you lose, you're not gonna be in the next race, so it's tough, man. You thinking, who I'm gonna get, and you're looking at everybody, and it's tough, man. It's
You remember who you ran?
no.
You remember you ran that first race? You probably had to buy a run anyway.
Last year,
Who'd you have?
Jim Howe, and he broke a start.
Sense of relief just hit you when they said Jim's broke. And you're like, we're in the show.
Yeah.
You know, and then you have no.
Yeah, but even for a little bit, even when Jim brought his first car out, he wasn't fast for a minute. I mean,
I wouldn't see, you mean
Yeah.
It was the season with the other car, so I felt like we could, it was.
Oh, yeah, the other car that season,
When
yeah.
it started,
that also
still felt that sense of, oh, good.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
That also shows us how much luck's involved in going rounds and winning some of this stuff too. So.
Yeah, chip draw is a big deal. Like,
Absolutely.
when I go up to, you don't want to draw the three.
The greatest thing about us, the greatest difference between us and the NHRA group, and I don't want to throw them under the bus, but
You're right.
I do not like the sportsman. The fastest guy races the slowest
That's
guy
right.
every time, and
That's
that's
right.
just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's not an incentive for the slowest guy to show up the next race
It's a
if you're going to
great
get your
point. You could draw the slowest guy first round, but in NHRA, you're guaranteed to.
guarantee
first.
every time.
Yeah.
Whereas if they had to draw and then who knows who they got, maybe they got, it would shake things up.
The chip draw is the greatest thing to happen in drag
I
racing.
agree.
What's amazing about the chip draw is you're up there and you're getting your bird's eye view, right? You got your bird's eye view and you're like, I think I want this guy, or this guy. And you only got like 4 or 5 first round. You're like, I really need that guy to get to the next round. If I get
Doc,
this guy,
you were never in
I'll
my
go.
thought process
You know what I mean?
for that.
Who are the four? Who are the four? Let's get right down to it. Who are the four?
Doc, you were always in my
no-
mind. Every
let's
race, no offense.
I'll settle for 2. I'll settle for 2. Give me 2.
Give me 2.
Man, you guys are being rough.
You can
on
say,
me.
man. Real. Doc is one. You can say. We love Doc, but Doc is one.
What?
I mean, I earned that spot. I
Now,
mean, if you earn it,
for me, there's a guy that luckily I've beat him every time, and he always puts up a great race. He does, but it got to the point where I was like, ooh, if we get him again, I'll go to the second round. It was Mike Bowman, which I love Mike Bowman, billionaire Mike Bowman. I love
Mike
that
Bowman's
dude.
awesome.
He makes good passes, makes clean passes. He's a great driver. But when I would, after like the 3rd or 4th time I beat him, I was like, all right, let's get Bowman again first round, and then we'll go to the
Who was
second
your 2?
round.
Okay, Scott, who's your 2? Let's go down. Who's your 2?
Man, I was just hoping to make a few rounds. I can tell you, I had more people I didn't want to draw.
Yeah.
So let's go with that. Who would be the 2 you wouldn't want to draw?
So obviously, there's the elephant in the room is Ryan. Nobody wants to draw Ryan, but the biggest thing about Ryan is you really do want to draw him first or second round because in the heat of the day, that's when he's at his slowest. Everybody's
First
like,
round,
I don't want
to
Ryan.
get Ryan first round
You don't
is
want to
the
give
easiest.
Ryan 4 passes and then run him when the air is 60 degrees. You don't want to do that. You'd rather run him when it's 90 degrees and 125 track temperature. Honestly, that's what you
Your
want to do.
best shot of beating Ryan is round 1. The only
Yeah.
2 times I beat Ryan this season,
Yeah.
we were 50-50 this year, but both first round.
I think nobody's beat Ryan in first round more than Jim. Haven't you ran him like 3 or 4 times in first round, Jim?
Well,
Phew.
that's a crazy thing though.
Like I've had people that I've drawn first round like 4 or 5 times in the same season, and the odds of that are incredibly.
Yeah.
Like it wouldn't happen, and then other people you just never draw first round. And there's no explanation for that because it's all just random luck.
well, I mean, elephant in the room type thing. You kind of struggled with Dominator first round this last year.
Oh yeah, if I draw Dominator first round, I know 1 of 2 things: something's goofy is going to happen to my car or his, and so
Right.
it's going to be.
It always
happens.
kind of lands on his favor.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he's
You just round 1 at
Yeah.
Colorado, right?
Yeah, and not just Colorado,
it
but
was
New
3 or 4
England.
times.
Really? Yeah. And like I draw him a lot, and I don't even know why. In Tucson the year before, my car, which this never happens, shut off when I put it on the brake. Like just give him a win. I mean, and then this year when I drew him when I crashed at Rockingham, I drew him first round before, and his car shut off before it left. So whenever him and I race, it's always something goofy. And we've probably drawn each other
you
6
don't-
times.
It's a pick 'em. You don't know what's going to happen in that race. When
And
you
yet
race
I've
Dominator.
never drawn you first round. I've never drawn you first round. Never, like, why do I draw a Dominator 5? I don't know. Just random stuff.
You guys dip in the bag at the same time.
Yeah, maybe.
So your 2 that you don't like to race, your 2 you don't like to race first round is Ryan and your own teammate?
Ryan and any of my teams. So there's several for me, but my whole team took me out more this year than any other person.
There was a
Jerry
lot.
Bird. I've
There
not
was
beat
a-
Jerry Bird all season.
There was a lot of New Orleans on New Orleans crime this last season.
What about when you're in the driver's meeting, you look around and you're like, man, I haven't ran him all year, I haven't ran him all year, I haven't ran him all year. Like, I'm probably going to get this guy that time. And then you're thinking of it, and then you draw that chip and get that person. Like, it's like meant to be or something.
For me, it wasn't that way. For me, it was, so the 2 cars I didn't want to race was
Disco
Bodie-
Dean
or
and who?
Bodie Jr. for me. He beat me once, right?
Yeah.
And so every time I drew him after that, it was in my head, right? I don't know
Yeah.
why, but it was in my head, And then, of course, Kayla, you know what I mean? She beat me that one time, and then she beat me in the finals. So I felt like the car was faster, right, than both of those cars, but it was in my head. So for me, it was more of a mental thing. It really wasn't, like, I wanted Ryan the first round. I would tell Jim that all the time. I want Ryan first round.
Yeah.
I want to take him out. It was two reasons for me. One, I was trying to get more points, and with Ryan out of there, you have a better shot.
Yeah.
You do.
What about when you're in the driver's meeting and you look at somebody and you're like, I have never ran this guy ever. Like there's only 32 chips in the bag, and we've been doing this for 5 years, and I've never ran this guy. Like for me, I've never ran Cody Baker in a race. Like I've never ran Cody Baker on race day.
There are still times.
I don't think I've run Cody all season.
I mean, you just think of it. You know the guy's fast, and you're like, I've never ran this dude. All these chips in here, I never run this guy.
I never ran Jerry. We were talking about that earlier. I've never ran Jerry Bird, ever. All year.
I think I ran you, one time this season?
I red light.
You red light.
Lucky for you.
Hey, Mr. Odom. The moment, the memory that sticks out for me out of the entire season was, struggling. We're working on the car. We finally get some stuff fixed, and we finally start turning around. And we finally started going some rounds. I'd already went to a final 8 once. We'd already made the second round a couple times. We needed another good draw, the first round, decent draw, so I could go on. And we drew you.
I never forget what you said.
And he beat me. He got the win.
So with an F and with a K?
No, I mean, it was a good race. It was a good race. I got outran. But the next round, what happened?
I go out.
You go out. You red lit. I'm like,
right
why couldn't you? And you red lit against a guy that had a broke car.
I know.
So I was like, why couldn't you do that against me? Like the what? Oh man.
But it goes back to what you were just saying. There's so many ways to lose a race. You know what I mean? And to make it those 5 races is,
Well, I'm just going to go on the record and say for about 6.7 minutes, I hated you.
You definitely have to have some luck to win an event. There's 20 cars that can win that event, but you got to have that luck on your side.
Every time.
When we turn around on my
You need
car,
that one lucky break to win. Even when Ryan wins, he usually gets one lucky break.
Agreed, 100% on that.
What about when the guy that beat you, like you're like, gosh, man, that was a close race. I know it was close, and then you go up there and you're like secretly rooting for the guy to win because like if this guy wins, then I know I'm in contention next round. I know I can
The
make
guy
it
that
next
beat me
week.
won this whole thing.
Yeah, this is yeah. In Colorado, yeah, and I'm like, you won, and I'm like, oh.
Did you make a good run? He's like, yeah.
Some questions again.
Yeah, anybody, who else got questions out there?
We got scared fans. Anybody got any questions? It's just like in school, all you do is raise your hand. We'll talk to you. Anybody out there? Anybody?
No questions.
No questions. No further questions, Your Honor.
Do you want another slew of drivers up here that may have questions for them?